The potential is there, Chris. You just heard there, hopefully, and hopefully your line has improved in terms of us hearing you. I'd like to ask you about the lingering impact of Nigeria's colonial legacy. You know how the country was split and broken into various pieces without the people being consulted. Now, how do you feel about, for example, what Colonel Gaddafi suggested, which is that Nigeria should really just be split in half and it will be able to function more practically? So how big is the impact of the colonial legacy?
Yeah, I think for me the challenge for us is not for us to begin to talk about the impact of colonialism. It is after independence, 50 years after independence. It is for us to begin to talk about how to move forward, how to manage our diversity in such a way and manner that every side across the right will be happy, nationalism will be strong, rather than people
Sorry, Chris, I'm going to interrupt you again. The line is really breaking up, unfortunately. But if I could bring the question to you, Mohammed, to expand a bit. There are a lot of analysts who believe that Western corporate interests, which are still benefiting from Nigeria's wealth, are somehow in the mix. How significant are they in this really crazy mix, which is so hard to understand for some?
It is true that there are quite a few invisible hands, you know, of, let's say, trying to create one or two troubles. It is true that in most African problems, you still have the foreign hand in it. I'm not sure to what extent these problems we have I mean, I'm not sure if there are foreign hands. But what I know is that the conditions are there for conflicts.
Yeah.
So I don't want to start blaming foreigners here.
Yes.
When, as Chris mentioned, 40 years or so after independence, 50 years after independence, for God's sake, it's time to move forward.
That's
Let's look forward, which I agree with him.
Yeah.
The onus is on us to look forward and not backward. And the whole idea of trying to break the country, I don't think it will work.
Yeah.
Because it's not as straightforward as that. You cannot use the rivers, for example, to say this is one country, that is one country. I don't think that will work. I certainly don't want to see it broken, and because I want us to resolve our problems.
And absolutely, and we literally have seconds. A final word from you, Femi, in terms of how you see this situation moving forward, even in the next 6 months.
Well, if government can get its act together, try and make sure that there's proper governance and concentrate on what is in terms of running the country day by day. They should try and make sure that things do not escalate any further.
Yeah.
They've got to try and make sure that even when there's any crisis looming, they're always there to sort of nip it in the bud. Then we can always make sure that we don't have situations of this nature in the near future.
Well, and on that constructive note, I'm afraid that's the end of this part of the show in terms of the main topic. So is this a problem that is rooted in bad governance? Do you agree? And how much is it fueled by Western corporate interests? And what will it take to unify Nigeria so that, as the old African saying goes, one hand does wash the other? Email africa@presstv.co.uk, or you can send us a text to +44 7800 008086. Now it's time for our usual quick roundup of some other news from the continent.
South African President Jacob Zuma says he is encouraged by progress in Zimbabwe's shaky unity government. Mr. Zuma has been in Zimbabwe on behalf of the Southern African Development Community, SADC. Ghana's government is to issue biometric passports to its citizens as required by the International Civil Aviation Authority. The biometric passport will reduce identity theft and extra fraudulent activities associated with its old passports. Sudan has signed a ceasefire agreement with a second Darfur rebel group, Liberation and Justice Movement (LJM), as part of a government campaign to resolve the conflict in Sudan's violent west before elections this year.
And many thanks to all of you who've been sending us emails and text messages. We're really enjoying it. And here are a few. The first one is from Rita in Liverpool, and she's complimenting us by saying, fantastic, Africa Today as always. I was so glad to hear that your guest from the Muslim Brotherhood rightly condemned Mubarak as the dictator he is. A good man like Mohammed al-Baradei could one day be the head of such a beautiful country like Egypt. Thank you, Vuyiswa, for your informative analysis on African issues. And thank you, Rita from Liverpool. From Chibweze in Nigeria, the word is that there should be political change in Egypt. Mubarak should quit office now and allow change to take place. And moving on to another text from someone who didn't identify themselves, but possibly in Nigeria. The issue of acting presidency in Nigeria is a unanimous decision taken by people from both North and South. The issue of Muslim Yar Adua and Christian Goodluck is just the strategies of unpatriotic devils who always want to bring disunity. And we have an email from Victor, also in Nigeria. I would like to talk about the latest Jos religious riots in Nigeria. The problem with Nigeria is the so-called political stroke religious leaders. They are so greedy to the extent that they can do anything to hold on to power while the people suffer in the midst of their numerous God-gifted resources. Thank you so much. Very strongly expressed opinions. Please continue to talk to us. Another way you can do so is by sharing your thoughts on Africa Today by joining our Facebook fan page at Africa Today, Press TV, London. And with good wishes for the well-being of Nigerians everywhere, I'm afraid Africa Today is signing off. Thanks to Femi Okutubo, Mohammed, Umar, and Chris Kwaja in Jos. Thanks to all of you who've been sending us comments. That email again is africa@presstv.co.uk or text +44 78 00 8086. Don't forget, messages will be charged at your local operator rates. Do spread the word about Africa Today and join me, Vuyiswa Ngobongwana, and the team next week when we'll be shining a spotlight on South Africa. Thank you for watching and bye for now.